Welcome to another broadcast of Marketing Blueprint.
Pitch Deck 101 LLC, powering the next generation of unicorns. At Pitch Deck 101 LLC, we specialize in market research, brand innovation, market integration, and client conversion optimization. Our team of experts is dedicated to providing the strategic insights and innovative solutions needed to accelerate growth and unlock your company's full potential. Whether you're a startup looking to attract investors and your ideal clients, or an established business ready for market expansion, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Let Pitch Deck 101 LLC fuel your journey to exceptional business success. Contact us now for a free consultation on how we can position your business to become a unicorn.
And in the event you may be asking yourself, what is the significance behind Marketing Blueprint? I want to clearly state that businesses rise and fall on marketing and sales. And in this program, you will be a subject matter expert from various fields that will be giving you their blueprint that can significantly enhance your chances of being more successful in business. Today, I have two dynamic personalities in studio, and I wanted to take this time to introduce Athena Todd. Athena Todd, she is an AI and business consultant, and I also have Stephanie McKenzie, and Stephanie is a brand strategist and an educator. Welcome, Athena. Welcome, Stephanie. How are you guys?
Doing awesome. How about you?
I'm phenomenal, I must say. It's a tremendous pleasure to be among, you talented people and who are in business, you're movers and shakers in business, and you're all set to make tremendous impact in the world of business. What I want to do, I want to ask each of you to give a brief introduction of yourselves so the public will have an understanding as to who you are. I'm going to start with Athena.
Great. Well, my name is Athena Todd. I have been involved with AI. I wouldn't say machine learning. We have been helping businesses and solopreneurs how to implement the AI into their processes, to become better, efficient of what they're doing on the day-to-day basis, operations and lead generation, especially on the marketing part of it, since we're talking about marketing blueprint. So this is where usually the lowest entry point, that's what most solopreneurs, small business are most cared about. How do we generate leads in today's market, utilize AI? So that has been the area that we've been helping the most business since last year.
All right, thanks for that share, Athena. I will now come to Stephanie. Stephanie, can you do a brief introduction of yourself?
Absolutely. Well, I have probably one of the most ridiculously diverse backgrounds of anyone I've ever met, but I spend most of my time working as a brand and leadership strategist and educator, trying very hard to work with small companies, startups, as well as established businesses and brands, to teach them that brand is not a luxury. I think we have colloquialized the term to the point where people think if they have a logo and a website, they have a brand. And I'm like, that couldn't be farthest from the truth. We really need to understand that brand development is about creating a foundation, specifically for communications, operations, and leadership. And in doing that, we are literally setting ourselves up for success. And without it, we're doing what I like to call building our marketing and our business house on sand. And as we all know, that never actually works out. So thank you for having me.
Stephanie, I really love what you said. I mean, without the right information, it is very likely that you're building your house on sand. And when it comes to small businesses, I find that the right foundation is not there. And very often they fail and they ask themselves, why are they failing? It's largely because of a lot of what you would have said. So I'm really happy that you would have pointed out. And within today's program, I will be talking about a number of those issues, why, business startup fail. One of the things that I want to begin by sharing is that we have done a research a few years ago, and we did the research because we were asking ourselves, why is it that so many businesses are failing? Why? And as we do that research, there were four important elements of the research. One, we asked, are businesses failing because of lead generation and client conversion? So we look deep into that to see if that is de facto why businesses are failing. And from there, we begin to also look at, is it access to capital and capital leverage? And that we saw was another factor. And because as a rising star in business, you need capital and you need to know how to leverage it in the right way. And third, we looked at market access and market integration. As a rising star in business, you want to be able to access that market. You want to be able to integrate your brand into the market. And if you're struggling with this, it's going to undermine the possibility of the business realizing its objective. So we examined these three things, but surprisingly, the one that we found that's really stood out was what we called proactive leadership and the will to apply oneself. And we were surprised at that because, proactive leadership is not something that we often talk about. The will to apply yourself is not something that we often talk about. But as we begin to examine a number of things, it became very clear why so many rising stars and businesses are struggling. Now, one, you may have the information on client conversion, but having that information on lead generation and client conversion doesn't mean that you're going to apply that information. A lot of people may come to the seminar, they may come to the workshop, and they're taking all of this information. But when you expect them to apply the information, they're not applying. And if you don't apply, you don't get the results. The next thing that we see is that you may get access to capital, but if you don't leverage it in the right way, guess what? It becomes a liability instead of an asset to you. So that's the second thing that we discovered. And third, we looked at access to markets. You may know how to access the market, but it's not enough to know how to access the market. You must be able to get out there and build relationships and connect with the right people and to be able to make that happen. So all of the above is largely based on proactive leadership and applying yourself. And I will talk some more about proactive leadership, but I'll leave that for now. I'll just give a hint as to when we talk of proactive leadership, what we are talking about. We believe as a proactive leader in business, three things help you to stand out. One, you're able to think ahead. As a rising star in business, don't get into the pool and then you start thinking. Think ahead. All right. There's a lot of things that you need to think ahead about. Two, you need to see beyond problems because you start to think ahead. I need people, I need capital, I need market. Those are going to be, for the average person, you're going to see this as problems. And many person gets stuck in a problem zone. So you need to train the mind to see beyond problems. And the last one, as a proactive leader, you need to be able to take informed action. And informed action for us is not just taking action. The average person in business is not in the position of trying to take informed action. And that is against the backdrop because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the experience, they don't have to wear it all. And here is where you may come in, Stephanie. Here is where you may come in, Atina, because when I come to Stephanie, Stephanie is a brand strategist. So I know Stephanie would have built out multiple strategies around branding. So she is now able to take that informed action as against someone else who's speculating about what they are doing. There's a major difference. If as a rising star in business, you're able to attract the right consultants, the right mentor, the right coach, the right sponsor, the right supportive community around you, you're going to set yourself up to win. So for me and my blueprint, to really help businesses to win, you need to understand the blueprint that we call proactive leadership. And I'll talk some more about that as we go into today's program. But I want to open up the floor now for either Stephanie or Atina to chime in on their blueprint and how their blueprint has been helping businesses and how it can continue to help businesses. Who wants to go first?
Well, we have a guest. Feel very polite. Well, I think my blueprint is quite obvious when it comes to, especially in today's market. Either people are starting to sense the AI start kind of become part of the everyday life. This is kind of how I see is transition, just like what we used to know about landline, phone line, and then we slowly transition to cell phone. So that's kind of how I see this is kind of like the process that we're doing over again in the business practice. So, so some company are resist to it just because they are afraid the human part of experience going to be taken away. And of course, that would also stir the corporation that people might be afraid that they'd be losing a job. So before we even talking about those blueprint, we actually take care of people first, because we know an AI machine without a human operate behind it, it would be just a cold ass machine. For me, I know there's different people have different, that's why each AI business consultants have their different point of views. Not everyone creates all equal, and that's the beauty of it. We all have a human touch to it. So for me, my angle when I'm helping any companies, I take care of the people first. Look at their leadership, department, and then who's in charge, the key players in the company. And to get to understand what is the process they do on their day-to-day operations. For me to figure out through their process what part of the things they do on a daily basis it's mundane tasks where the AI can either help automate that part of the process, or we can integrate other part of automation to take care of the things that doesn't necessarily need their brain to function, but they just got to do it because that's part of the process they have to do. For example, sending an email, right? We all receiving emails. First thing we go to, most people go to work, they open their email. What's coming in today's email, what have to take care of. So nowadays you could actually having the AI read the email, draft the email for you, put it in a draft folder for you to review it before you get sent it out. So it could be as simple as that once we have trained the machine, how you talk, the way you talk, the language you use, and that can be done nowadays. So that's how simple is that for that little part of how we can become more efficient. So free up the human's mind to do the mundane task. We, as a human, we can diving into what we love to do, which is what we were born to do, creative work.
That's a good point. I do believe that AI can definitely help to free up time and help you to focus your time, your talent, and your resources on the essential things that really need your attention. And thanks for that share, Tina. Stephanie.
To me, it becomes a little bit convoluted because I deal with a lot of cliched mindsets. And so first we have to look at the difference between the things. There's marketing, there's brand development, there's creative development, and all of these things are different. And so when it comes to formulating a blueprint, I'm initially going into what's now called brand development. In fact, I had a conversation with someone just yesterday and they said, "Oh, I need to know how to market this." And I was like, "Okay, who are we marketing it to? Let me go to your LinkedIn profile." So I go to the LinkedIn, the positioning statement is vague. It's, oh, these people. And I'm like, yeah, those people don't want that. So, at the culmination of our conversation, there was, I think I'm back at square one. And I'm like, well, you're not actually back at square one because you were actually never out of the gate. Because when we don't take the time to appropriately position our businesses, right? And in brand development, we're looking at the target audience. Who are they psychographically? Who are they demographically? What are their pain and purpose points? What are they seeking? What do they care about? So that you can position yourself as a solution, an innovation, or something that they didn't even know that they needed. That sets the tone for everything, I go back to what you're actually offering and developing the offer. There's offer development. To me, that's a part of brand. And so brand development for me is a very strategic application, but and that you can do with AI, right? If you train your model and your prompting correctly, but it's a very technical application. It's not, let's go jump into Canva or let's go jump into whatever and get that logo, get that creative. When we do brand development well, everything we create will be baked. When we don't do it well, everything we create more than likely is going to have to get scrapped. And so I'm looking to connect those dots, because if I know that you're trying to reach an affluent audience and these are their pain and purpose points, these are the things that matter to them, then we go into creative development, understanding the psychology of, what this audience might, resonate with these colors. This audience might resonate with this typography. This audience might resonate with these visuals. But when we run straight to the visuals, that's when we have the problem. So nevertheless, hopefully somebody got something out of that. The blueprint for us is making sure that the brand development is there, and it sets the proper foundation by way of what do you offer, whom do you offer it to, and why they should care.
When you become an influencer, it gives you the edge that separates you from the competition. The GIP initiative, the Global Influencers Partners Program, is designed to expose you to over 5 billion potential consumers across the world. When you are a rising star in business and you need visibility, reach, impact, client conversion, and cash flow optimization, positioning yourself to become a global influencer may be the ideal tool that you need in your arsenal to win in business. I encourage you to join the GIP initiative and position your business to build confidence, trust, and credibility and cash flow optimize the fastest.
Brilliant and well said, Stephanie. You've said a whole lot, and I want to throw out a few more blueprints. And I think it's important as a rising star in business for business leaders to understand this. I see, Stephanie, at the beginning of this program, you made a very, very strong statement, and your statement is true. And what I'm going to say it largely because many rising stars in business, they miss these blueprints. One, to successfully grow any business, it's important for you to understand the 3 levels of leadership in that business. And all successful business, they have this. So your blueprint has to mirror the successful model. One, there's the strategic leadership. And strategic leadership is where you have your board of directors, is where you have the investors, is where you have the critical stakeholders. So you have to have your strategic leadership. But then you have your tactical leadership. Your tactical leadership may be the middle managers. All right. They interpret from the top and they help to develop the programs at that middle level. And then there's the operational level. And the operational level is where everything has to be executed. And I will link this back to something that Stephanie would have said early on in terms of sales and marketing and why it's a complex play. Now, one of the things that we see is that many rising stars in business, one, you don't understand this blueprint, and 2, you tend to function at all 3 levels of leadership, and that is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe for disaster. Why? Because, as Stephanie would have said early on, managing a business is a very complex process. But that complex process is simplified when you have the critical stakeholders that you can delegate to. Now, let me bring it back to something that Stephanie would have mentioned earlier. Stephanie, about the differences between branding and brand innovation and these different type of stuff. What we see happens very often also is that Stephanie may work with you to develop your brand, and then you interpret that as sales. And sales is something totally different. The brand is what helps you to get either the corporate brand identity correct. That means it's going to be aligned to the ideal client. Or if in the case of personal branding, the personal branding is now built out to appeal to your specific target audience based on demographic data, based on psychographic data. That being said, it's different from marketing. It's different from sale. You still need to have a salesperson that is going to get out there and knock on door and build relationships to help to drive the know, like, and trust for that brand. And very often, Stephanie, we find that solopreneur, sole traders, small businesses, you get into business, you may have a very good brand, but because you don't understand the complex dance of business, they shoot themselves multiple times in the legs and on the mind. A good process, something good from happening is significantly on the mind. Steph, in your experience, in working particularly with sole traders and solopreneurs, how challenging is that to really get them from this stage up to the next step? And I want to pose this. Go ahead, Stephanie.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your thought. I apologize. I was eager to jump in.
No, I was just saying that I would pose the same question to Athena. In working with small businesses, what are some of the challenges that you encounter, and what are some of your best advice, the best blueprint to help them to navigate that? But just before you go, let me quickly share. Most sole trader that I'm going to be interfacing with, within 3 to 6 months, the aim and the objective is to get them to where they have a skeleton staff. And from 6 months to a year is to get them to have a stronger team dynamics around them, because I'm aware that doing it alone is going to undermine growth and undermine the vision that you have for the business. So that's my way of dealing with it. But I would love to hear from you guys. Stephanie?
Well, I think your question was, how hard is it to get solopreneurs, solo practitioners to a point where they can see the differences? Did I interpret that correctly?
Yeah, to see the differences and to see the need that they can't do it alone. They're not going to go far enough.
It can be very difficult, and to contingent upon where they are. Like, I've had clients that do millions in their business, right? But yet and still, they don't have the structure. They don't have SOPs in place. They don't have a formal hierarchy. They don't have the foundational principles. So every dollar in that business is a fight. It's a battle, right? Even with them, because I know some people say, oh, well, solopreneurs are not fiscally successful. Yeah, a lot of them are fiscally successful and emotionally and mentally bankrupt. And so at the end of the day, they don't have the mental capacity to have trust. See, they have trust issues, and they have it with themselves. And so getting them to understand, hey, if you have to be here every day, we're actually failing. Like, if nothing happens unless you're here, we're failing. There's nobody in between you and this person, 900,000 to $1.2 million in revenue, but we could be doing 3.4 to 5.6 if you learn how to develop a team and delegate. And so I think sometimes those who have been successful are actually hard. They're the hardest one, because they're like, well, I'm already doing this and it's working. Honey, it's not working. It's just working out. Okay. And then on the other end, we have the ones that are just starting, and they're like, oh, I can't, their typical response to everything. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. And I've constantly taught, find a way. Even if you can't afford a $30,000 a month, additional outlay. Okay, but can you afford to go to the community college in your neighborhood and make a relationship? Can you afford to do that? Can you develop an apprentice program or an internship program? Can you afford to do that? At the end of the day, I think it just depends where they are. And if we can get them to understand that you deserve to get what you need to succeed, then that makes things easier. But until they reach that point where they know, you know what, I'm worthy of delegating. I'm worthy of not having to be here all day. I'm worthy of looking at my operations and systems and not taking that as an internal struggle or ascribing it to my sense of self-worth. Until they reach that point, then we're going to have a little bit of a battle.
Well said. Stephanie, well said. Atina, what is your thoughts on this?
So for me, as far as I agree, a lot of the Stephanie was talking about, it does happen because we serve very similar clientele, right? A lot of those people starting out, and then those people are control freak, I remember, who was saying that? Was it Warren Buffett? I remember I have heard the statement before is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go,
far.
your business go far, you have to have a team. Thank you, Stephanie. So yes, so that is exactly how we have been integrating that concept to everyone that we coach through that part of the process, even though they're just starting out. So we believe, just like, we treat every beginning of the business like a baby. So we train our baby in the very, very beginning before they can learn how to crawl. We want to start ingraining that concept into them, because we believe the early stage that we're able to help them understand that a part of the process, when they get to the stage of a toddler or teenager, when this is more reckless, like this is go like crazy, and they think they're completely, nobody can stop them. So we just, that's kind of how we, depends on what stage of their business. When they come in, we evaluate them to see what stage of business they're at. We're kind of adopting that part. We know that part of the mindset, and then we know what processes to help them to understand their stage of the business before we help them take on to the next stage. So I know I don't want to freak everybody out. However, this is coming. There is AI agent is coming. I don't know if you guys have heard of that part. So what that means is there will be an AI if you train them enough of your system, your SOP, and how you make in process as your company of the staff. It will started to make the smaller decision on the people's behalf. So that part of the process, it could be like most people will start in like corporation. The area that suck up the most of the time is the customer service, your customer support. Just like for our program, well, not only our program, we were seeing a lot of people like Tony Robbins in all those big programs. Same thing. The 60% of the time that's sucking away is huge demand on customer service side of it. So a lot of times, where do I find my login? What website did I go to? Where do I find the replay? I forgot my password. Where do I go reset? All those questions. Can you imagine if a solopreneur had to say that 60 times a day or whatever? So those kind of a chatbot is what is actually starting to implementing in a lot of businesses right now. And then later on, you'll start seeing more coaching program. You'll see them adopting as a hybrid program. So it would be part of it is clone, which is we talk about personal brand, that keep on your personal brand. But you also have a human interaction when you actually have a customized the live section that you need to coach the team, coaching the clients on more of a whatever their customized questions that could be dealt with in person. However, those mundane or those repetitive questions that could be dealt with through clone or through chatbot. So that has been implementing a lot of this. Like I would say, 50% of the business in the world right now are implementing the AI technology into the company. So it is coming in the next 5 to 10 years. You will start seeing. Right now, it's still kind of, is this necessary or is this just the hype? We will start seeing that transition to people think it's just a luxury to have, and then sooner or later, a year or two after, some business will start to see it's, oh my God, goodness, I got to implement this. It will be more like on the survival. They have to have it to stay competitive in the market. Otherwise, other people are implementing, working faster than them, so they can produce the process it a lot faster to help the customer a lot faster and more efficient, and it create the same kind of emotion connection with their audience. So yeah, those are I would say the area has been starting to implement the customer service side of it.
Wow, well, that's deep, and you're right. I do. One of the things that we learn in marketing, and I know Stephanie would identify with this, one of the things that we learned is how to keep abreast of relevant technological development, and then how to adopt it to the organization so you have that competitive advantage. And that is why, everything that you've said just now, Tina, is important, because being in tune with technology, AI, and how it can help to grow and accelerate the business growth is vital. But the average rising star would not know that. Stephanie definitely going to be one of the subject experts that they can talk to get that body of knowledge. And as Stephanie would have said, you have to understand the power of delegation. If you do not know how to delegate as a rising star in business, I think by default you have set yourself up to fail, because I think it's difficult. And Stephanie said this, as a sole trader, you don't have the SOPs. You don't even have probably a clear strategy. You just, you just getting by. But I'm going to pause here for now. And when I come back, I'll talk about the 28 rule and why you should see this also as a blueprint. But Stephanie, your thoughts, and we're going to start to wrap up shortly. We're going to wrap the program up in about 10 minutes. Stephanie, your thoughts.
On which part, Gary? I have many thoughts.
Yeah. I know. A lot was said, and
you're talking to one with. We always have many thoughts.
Right. I'm like, which thoughts do you want right now? Like
you're talking about.
Yeah, I know Tina. She just spoke about AI and how AI could be integrated into business to make business function better. And there's so many moving parts. And I would just love to hear your thoughts, your expertise, as we look at some of the challenges that rising stars in business are faced with, and how we can help them to navigate some of those challenges that they're dealing with.
Great. And let me go on record and say that AI is actually one of our team members. Like I literally count our AI and our GPTs as team members. So there's that. But I think if in order to aptly support rising stars, using Gary's terminology, is to understand that they don't know. They don't know. And some of the things that the three of us and the rest of the marvelous experts on this panel, that we know as a matter of fact, right? For them, it could very well be new information. And I think approaching it from that is also very helpful, because I have found myself in situations where I just thought, oh, well, everybody knows that. There's nothing special about the knowledge that I have. There's something very special about the knowledge that you have. And the ability to support others as you deliver or share or augment what they have going on is super important. So I think we want to be mindful of that. I think we also need to be mindful, and I don't think I have to say that to anybody on this panel, but be mindful of the fact that mindset plays a key role in this whole thing. I don't care how amazing the prompts are, or the model is. I don't care how amazing the brand strategy is, and it's going to be amazing because I created it. But none of that matters, right? It doesn't matter if Gary can secure you $250,000 in equity. If mentally you are not aligned with this work, if you have skill but not will, as I think we talked about earlier. If the will isn't there, if the capacity is diminished by way of health issues or mental health challenges, all of that matters. And we can't hustle harder and we can't push through, but we can encourage those that we serve to take a moment, take a beat, and then revisit this, because that is a huge part of the equation. And to act as if it's not is to everyone's detriment.
Well said. What I want to say quickly just before we start to wrap up is that as a star in business, it's so important to understand what we call proactive leadership. And because proactive leadership helps you to accomplish three things. It helps you to think ahead. And in starting a business, there's a lot of things that you need to think ahead about. Are you able to access the kind of capital to grow and scale your business? And what's the cost of doing business? Are you thinking ahead of all of these things? Because many persons, you start a business and you're not thinking ahead that there's a cost to do all of this. And then when you meet a brick wall, you then start to say, why me? So proactive leadership helps you to start thinking ahead. Proactive leadership helps you also to think ahead in the context of who's my ideal client. And as Stephanie would have said, what are their pain points? And then the next step, am I in a position of strength to innovate products and services that reaches their expectation and possibly exceeds their expectation? These are things that you want to think ahead about. And then you need to come to the second step, which is seeing beyond problems. Because very often you may think ahead that I want to be rich, I want to be successful, I want to help businesses. But when you start to see some of the challenges to get there, you get stuck in that zone, the problem zone. How do you train your mind to see beyond the problems? And that again is mindset. If you have a growth mindset, that's going to help you to step out of that, comfort zone. If you have a mindset that the will to win, and I really can emphasize the importance of this, and Stephanie did hit it. You must have the will to win. And I want to also say something else. Part of your will to win is not necessarily doing this on your own. Can you see, you have a mentor in Stephanie, you have a mentor in Atina, and the key here, when you really want to win, you may not have all the answer. No one has all the answer. But guess what? You can surround yourself with the best mentors, the best coaches, the best sponsors, the best supportive community that can help to push you forward in the right direction. And you're being introduced to my team here because I'm certain that they have the expertise to help you to leapfrog the growth of your business. My last thing I'm going to say on this point, build a strong team dynamics, and that's a healthy blueprint for you to have when you want to be successful in business. Atina, quickly, and then I'm going to come to Stephanie to closing remarks.
Oh, my thoughts again? No, just kidding.
Yeah, we're about to wrap up now, so your closing thoughts now.
Well, what I would say is always strategy comes first. Human come first. You got to have a human to come up with a strategy first, and then we can figure out what machine or what AI tools we have to use to actually help us saving the time. So I totally agree what we have shared here. You have to first have a leadership to come on board. We have to prep the staff to make sure people are in a growth mindset. And the first thing we say is nobody are getting fired today. Everybody's is going to be, elaborated to a different position. You get to do what you enjoy to do. You actually, have a lot faster. You don't have to be sitting in front of a computer all day. So there's a more efficient, productive way to get your job done nowadays. So I can see it's, AI tools without strategy, people are just going to get overwhelmed and scattered. So I totally agree, with the leadership on board with a good strategy, where AI will come into last to implement the whole operation. That's when we will start seeing the productivity and profitability will increase for the corporations.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for that share, Athena. Stephanie, your closing thoughts?
I think that what Athena said was right on. I mean, I think strategy has become one of those buzzwords. And I'm like, no. We really need a strategy. We can't just operate on goals and hope, or even goals and go. We've got to have a strategy. We've got to look at this thing and say, okay, this is how we might be able to reach this. And what I love about AI is that I can throw that into AI and say, well, what do you think? And it'll pull out things and it can help us get down the road. But I truly believe that approaching things strategically will help you avoid or at least mitigate the struggles, the financial struggles, the internal struggles, the team struggles. And a team might be you and a good VA, but whatever struggles, I always say strategy over struggle, because in our practice in this company, we believe that you should have success that you can sustain and you should be free from hustle. And we get free from hustle when we approach things strategically, not haphazardly, because that's how we win.
Brilliant. And I'm going to end on the same point of strategy. One of the things that I've recognized as we look deep into the whole concept of strategy, there's what we see as the macro strategy. That's the bigger picture thinking. And I find it very often, rising stars, they have the big picture as to what they want to accomplish. But then what I've learned is that you need to break down the macro into the micro, the smaller, the step-by-step approaches to get there, where you also look at your WBS, the work breakdown structure. And for some reason, they are not really trained to break it down, to see the big picture, but the step-by-step, they're not seeing that. And perhaps in the next program, we'll talk a little bit more about that. And the last thing that I want to add to that, which I think both parties talk about, is systems. And when you develop the strategies that are working, you want to systemize it. And there's seven things that we look at on the systemization, but I'll share that in the next broadcast. I really, really want to thank Stephanie and Tina for spending the time with us today on Marketing Blueprint. And for the public, I really trust that you enjoy listening to Tina and to Stephanie, because listen to me, these guys are giving you information that now I want you to keep following these programs. You will learn more about Stephanie and Tina, and I definitely want you guys to start considering how you can incorporate their knowledge, their experience, their mentorship, their coaching into your business model, because I'm fully aware that they can help you move your vision to the next. Stephanie, Tina, thanks for being here with me today, and looking forward to doing the next program with you guys. Do have a wonderful rest of the day.
Pitch Deck 101 LLC out of New York. Do more than just support our clients to pitch their businesses to investors access working capital at 0% APR. We also support our clients to grow and scale their businesses faster and cash flow optimize. Pitch Deck 101 LLC recent partnership with 10X Branding Marketing LLC and Global Capital Inc. out of the USA has enabled us to form unique partnership with multiple financial institutions, which means we can do even more to accelerate the success of our clients. Let Pitch Deck 101 LLC give you the support you need to pitch to investors, access capital, access new markets, and grow and scale your business. Contact us now on 332-235-1099 for a free consultation.